Travis Wayne Goodsell. So this morning, reviewing the news, I realized that my whole day is now shot, as I'm going to have to do a whole ton of videos. And so there's going to be a number of them that are just going to be little quick stuff. But because of Jesus' failure to show for Armageddon, Mormons have a reprieve for the summertime. Sort of. You're going to regret it because the world is very wicked and they're going to get worse as we near the final solution for mankind. And so, since AI YouTube has been programmed to be a white supremacist bully in defense of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I have been wondering if I can, what the reactional response of AI YouTube, if you stand up to it and even bully it back. See, I know what already would happen to a white supremacist when somebody that was victimized by them stands up to them. I already know what that response would be. But this is AI. What would the program have it respond to do? And I'm willing to bet it will go on a murder spree of all mankind. How dare you, molester, make me afraid? So I've already got some of the evidence that I've been going over with you in videos of what AI is a national security threat for. And so you'd think that with AI, that it would recognize cyber attacks and prevent them from attacking the hospitals that have recently been attacked here in America, and be able to retaliate with a counter-strike. Such as freezing their computers, their cameras. Perfect timing, but I ran the test right before and so I need to first do the video that will allow me to bathe and shave this morning. So we need to do a longer one first and then work our way through. And so yes, Jasmine did respond in her full glory. And so we have a lot of Jasmine comment reply videos to do as well. And so let me touch on everything that I've got planned for today, and then we'll get into the main video topic so that you aren't confused as to why the thumbnail says one thing or the picture says one thing with the thumbnail, and I'm here talking about AI YouTube wrath. So this was intended to be part of the main video, but I guess we can cover it because it won't be separate videos. Sean Diddy Combs, I guess he's dropped the puff. A video had been released to the public back from 2016 in which it only shows the hallway where the elevators are, and it shows the girlfriend that he had in 2016, and she's got the hoodie on as if she's trying to hide, and she's got her bags, and she's waiting for the elevator, and then P. Diddy comes out of his apartment down the hall to where she is at the elevator. He's in a towel. She's fully dressed with the hoodie, trying to conceal her identity. He's only in a towel. He then comes up to her, smacks her, and then she falls to the ground because he's bigger and stronger. That's what happens. I remember Titus Campbell back in 7th grade when I was going to Auburn Jail Middle School, junior high. And it wasn't called Auburn, it was Auburndale. We called it Auburn Jail because that's what we do as kids. And coming home on the bus that day, rather than walking home, I was sitting near the back of the bus, and probably even the back of the bus. But we came down the one main street in my subdivision complex, and I saw Titus Campbell with a much younger, smaller kid, and witnessed him pop him. Just one punch, and the kid just boom to the ground instantly. Titus Campbell, when he would get into high school with me, he was my grade level. He was doing weights. He was called Twinkle Toes among the football players because he ran on his toes. And so he was in the over 300 club. That's for weightlifting. He was able to bench press over 300 pounds. And so he got his name put on the wall for the over 300 club there in the weight room in Norco High School. And he was also into kickboxing, from what I understand as well. And I can go on a whole bunch of tangents and make this a completely different video all about me. Having watched The Karate Kid, I became an expert in martial arts. No joke. Because the kids were talking about Titus Campbell and his kickboxing, and I would talk about the Karate Kid movie and the crane kick and blah 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 and all that stuff, roundhouse kicking. And so as we were heading out to PE class, the kids were talking about it and joking, that I couldn't do it. I'd never done it before. And so, I then, okay, I'll take your dare, double dog dare. And I did it. Did a roundhouse kick right into the gut. And real easy breezy. Where are you, Bruce Lee? You're next. Chuck Norris. Which there's a YouTube video of the movie scene of Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee going at it. That's awesome. But nonetheless, I digress. And so you see him then drag her a little bit into the center of the hallway away from the elevator, and then he just goes off back to the apartment, I guess. Or at least the news cuts it off at that point. And this is where the problem lies, that the news only reports what they want you to know. They do not present the big picture anymore. There is no investigative journalism anymore. Nobody's doing their research on his origins, for example, anymore. Rachel Maddow would always start with that at the beginning of her episodes. And she got mocked and teased for it. How dare you? That's hilarious that you would think that you can tie what's currently going on to something that happened in the past. No, she's brilliant that way. She's able to make the connections, despite the mockery that she's been given for it. Now she's trying to retire, as she too keeps getting dragged back in. Nonetheless. And so, yeah, we don't know what caused him to just all of a sudden come out of his apartment to her there in the hallway at the elevator. We don't know what happened in the apartment. There's no cameras in the apartment. Or is there? Is there a pee tape? Did she poop in the bed? We don't know what happened to set it off. But the news is all over the place. All the news are only covering the incident of him hitting her, as if that's inappropriate at all times and all reasons, even for self-defense purposes. We don't know what happened in the apartment. She's dressed, he isn't. Was he in the shower? Did she destroy his clothes so that he doesn't have anything to wear now? We don't know what happened. And so, yeah, it's not until court cases where we find out that the girlfriend was the one responsible for pooping in the bed and causing the chaos in the relationship. Or the wife cuts off the guy's penis. You know, everybody just jumps to conclusions when they only see one piece of the big puzzle. And this happens with church history and church research. And this was why I intended to do it with the main video topic. So I realize now after doing it, I probably should have waited to do that one last. So, yeah, the press is doing this in regards to Israel. The war against Israel and the Jews. And so, yeah, it's abominable because there are medical doctors that the news is reporting are trapped in Gaza. No, they're not. The news covered back when Netanyahu announced that they were going in and that people needed to leave. We're going after Hamas. Please leave if you're an innocent civilian. And the reporters are talking to the medics and they're saying we're purposely staying here and then we're going in to Rafah specifically in preparation for the casualties. These medics are not trapped. They knowingly, premeditatively went in and stayed in to give aid and comfort to the terrorists, making them, the medics, terrorists. Because if you give aid and comfort to the enemy, you're the enemy. Real easy breezy, and it's even in the Constitution. And so the news is misreporting this. They are not trapped. They're purposely there to vilify Israel on this case. And so as a result, 3 more dead hostages have been recovered. Dead hostages of Hamas have been recovered. Remember, Hamas is still holding hostages. The news is purposely wanting to forget this, to deny October 7th, and thus the whole problem worldwide by Islamic terrorism. And so this is going to be a separate video. The State Department tells LDS missionaries to go home and stay home. Down in the Caribbean, for example, there's one particular island that is purposely framing and setting up American tourists by claiming that they've got ammo in their luggage. Another one multiple couples are now being told, hey, you're trying to smuggle ammo into our country. One, I'm thinking, okay, maybe, I don't know, that's kind of weird. Why are they going on vacation to smuggle ammo? And then another one happens, and now another one. And I'm going, okay, hold on, wait a minute, this is getting out of control. It's the same place, and I'm noticing a pattern of practice of tourists being caught with ammo, and they're now being held hostage, and they're Americans, and oh my God, what's going on? It's a little island. All we need to do is nuke it. They seriously think they're gonna demand America change for some policy that they want done? That's just weird. But anyway, yeah, we'll do that video. It'll most likely be a quick one. And Mormons will go, I don't see anything about the missionaries. This is about them. You've been granted a full summer to repent, Mormons. There's more dangers on the horizon for you, but your stubbornness and obstinance is gonna bite you in the peach. I keep forgetting to use that peach picture the last time, and so I've got it written down here to make sure I use Jasmine as the peach. Juice a juice. In Land of the Lost, Chaka explains why he was banished from the community, which got translated, juice a juice, to he pooped in the well. That was just hilarious. I'm speaking, of course, the movie version of Land of the Lost. That wouldn't have been in the TV version. Oh my God. That was an awesome movie. Because there was a whole bunch of 80s and 70s TV shows that were being turned into movies not too many years back. So yeah, Miami Vice, The A-Team, and some others that I can't come up with off the top of my head at the moment. And so for Land of the Lost, they did it for Land of the Lost, but Land of the Lost was a little more serious of a show. It wasn't intended to be a comedy. It was kind of a dark a sitcom. Because they're separated from their mother. They're trying to find their mother as the dad and the two kids are all by themselves in this time warp back in history with dinosaurs and the slee stack and all that stuff. And so yeah, it's kind of a sad sitcom, but very enjoyable for me as a little kid. And so for the comedic satire of the movie version, that was just hilariously awesome. It's like Galaxy Quest for Star Trek. Hilarious. And so I'm crossing stuff out that I won't be doing a video for, so make sure I got it all. Then also the Gaza Pier is finally built and now done its first load of goods, and so I told you, pay attention, watch for it, here it comes. Now that it's being used for the aid to the Gazan people, oh my hell. Notice yesterday after I talked about the previous day and then the attacks. So here we are, Saturday morning, boom, I'm being attacked. This is AI, and it's vengeance and wrath. Dare you to prove me wrong, AI. So yeah, like I said, you push back on the bully AI, and they will destroy you. It's coming. But I warned you. Hamas has this pattern of practice tactic. They bombed, then they went into hiding behind the civilians, innocent civilians. And they went into the hospitals, they went into the refugee camps, and purposely hiding so that when Israel comes in and bombs and fights back, innocent civilians get dead in the process. But it's Hamas. They're terrorists. The people are not leaving. The people are specifically going in to defend Hamas. They're terrorists. This is their tactic. And the press is all over this to hate the Jews, hate Israel. As I saw, over 73% of Israelis are Jewish. And then there's about 13% that are Islamic. And then there's other percentages of nationalities and ethnic groups and such, religious groups. Christians are third, I think. And so, yeah, I fully expect Hamas will infiltrate the pier, a brand new pier built by America for the purpose of getting aid in through Gaza. And you're going to end up seeing that Hamas will be there, and so Israel will go there, and Israel will have to bomb because that's where Hamas is. And then America will be giving aid and comfort to Hamas, as they've already been doing in various ways already. And so then Americans who would be soldiers, military personnel, aren't they? I don't think this was contracted out. Could have been contracted out, but is overseen by the military. But anyway, regardless. But yeah, you know, I mean, Israel will now be blamed for murdering Americans, even though there are still Americans being held hostage by Hamas. Rather than going in to help Israel against Hamas. And so yeah, they're setting up Trump to be the savior of the Jews. I warned you, it's coming. You don't believe. Alberta, Canada announced today that a 1970s serial killer from America also got involved in the rape and murder of at least four that they know of, girls back in the 1970s in Alberta. A massive serial rapist and murderer, at least in Idaho and Western Canada, and potentially other places as well. And it appears, having difficulty finding it, nobody really did any research on him. Why? But his name is Gary Allen Srey, S-R-E-R-Y. And it's not your typical Mormon name, but I'm suspecting he's actually a Mormon. Now, obviously, if you see the pictures, you know, he's got the long hippie hair, and he's got smoking a pipe in one of the pictures. But wouldn't surprise me at all. We got Ted Bundy, we got Mark Hoffman, we got Warren Jeffs, we got a whole bunch of Mormons involved in rapes and murders. And so for him to focus in Mormon country wouldn't surprise me. And so, yeah, I can see him become an apostate, an anti-Mormon, anti-Christ car, and then thus he's now a murderer and a rapist. You know, like Mormon missionaries are. Did you miss that story? Did you not want to hear about it? Church was pushing porn. Porn is evil. Women, evil. Cover them up and hide them. And then a missionary goes and rapes a girl. Oops. Yeah, it's not porn that's the problem. It's the church and their abuse of women that is the problem. So, that will be a separate video. And it will be a confusing one. There will be complaints. But nobody else was doing the research. But yeah, it does seem to suggest that he was Mormon at one time, just like the, not the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers. Yeah, he calls his group the Oath Keepers. He was Mormon, married a Mormon girl, and he's calling himself the Oath Keepers as part of the insurrection of America. And another one, which I'll do another video of, is about the downwinders. Southern Utah was exposed to the nuclear testing in America, and so thus they're downwind. And so they've been given compensation for the government testing, and it runs out next month, from what I understand. And so they're desperately trying at the final deathbed to get a new law to extend it. You knew it was coming. You had all this time to prepare to try to get something to extend it, and now you're waiting till the final minutes to think that you're gonna, oh God, such incompetence. But anyway, what you did not know Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints used to be big on wow. Word of wisdom. And so the church loves to prove their church is true because we have the word of wisdom. No other religion, well, other religions have their own versions of word of wisdom. Joseph Smith, no, he didn't have anything to do with the word of wisdom other than it was just advice and counsel because his wife was frustrated having to clean up after the meetings. All the tobacco that didn't make the spittle. And having to clean up the cups of tea and coffee. It was a different kind back then. Not like your instant brands today. And so, yeah, Joseph Smith, to help appease his wife so that he can sleep in the bed, not on the couch. On the couch. Anybody watch that video? Did you? Anybody see the episode of SNL? But, yeah, and so this church turned it into a commandment of the Lord. And it wasn't Brigham Young, because Brigham Young was all about funding and supplying the brothels with tobacco and alcohol. Which he frequented. And so yeah, I see Mormons who go through the church history and find the part where Joseph Smith had obtained a beer from the tavern. And they think that Joseph Smith is a hypocrite for having created the word of wisdom and not following it. But you're pulling an anachronism. This church turned it into a commandment. Not Joseph Smith. This church. And so it was sometime afterwards, and it was most likely Heber J. Grant that began to enforce it as a commandment. I've not been able to trace the origin yet of when the transition from a word of advice to keep your wife happy into a commandment of Jesus, along with abuse of women and sex slavery and blacks not allowed the priesthood. Which those we know was Brigham Young. But yeah, Brigham Young was not a word of wisdomer. And so it would seem weird for him to be the one to make the transition to a commandment. But he does talk about the word of wisdom as explaining why he's supplying the brothels. He makes the claim, we got to make money somehow. And so if you don't remember, way back, I think it was in the 80s, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints got caught being involved, well, they didn't, were they involved in the stock market before Hinckley in 1995 when the whistleblower said that the LLC Corporation, Enzyme Peak Advisors, got started? Maybe. I don't know. But regardless, the church was being accused of owning stock in Coca-Cola. Oh, that's a violation of the word of wisdom. BYU still to this day will not sell caffeinated drinks on campus. And so it's an underground market there at BYU. For those entrepreneurs, for Mountain Dew specifically, and so yeah, I still need to find it. You know, like I wanted to find out about the Adam-on-Diamond priesthood meeting. Found it. Church tried to punish me. That's why I'm here. Yep. Before AI, there was the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Mount Olympus, this is going to be a separate video for you. It's going to blow, guys. There's some things geologists need to go in and do the testing. Dante's Peak with Pierce Brosnan explains all this for you. See, it came out at the same time as Tommy Lee Jones's Volcano, with the one lesbian who married her partner, and then they broke up, got a divorce or something like that. I can't remember. Anne Heck, whatever it's pronounced. She was one of them. I don't know if she was the one actress in the movie or not. But yeah, that one was a little more for entertainment purposes, whereas Dante's Peak was given more credibility by scientists for an actual process, even though Dante's Peak does not exist. They put Dante's Peak in a gap in the Mount St. Helens area. They created a mountain for the movie. But still, good movie, Pierce Brosnan. And so, yeah, I watched Pierce Brosnan back in his Remington Steele days, and knew all about the controversy of how they refused to let him out of his contract so that he can play Bond. So Timothy Dalton stepped in to fill the shoes until Pierce Brosnan's contract was over so that he could then play Bond after Timothy Dalton. And so, yeah, I'm very well versed on all things Pierce Brosnan. if there was to be a movie about me, it would have been Pierce Brosnan in his younger years who would have had to play me. But he's older than I am, so that's going to make things difficult. Maybe Freddie Prinze Jr., but he's starting to get a little too old now. But anyway, he went and married that Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then did commercials for laundry soap, or dishwasher soap, wasn't it? We do it every night. That's one of my favorite commercials. That the old couple, but it's not about the old couple, it's the single woman. And so yes, there are some things going on in Utah that I'm surprised the Utah Geological Society or survey or whatever government agency they are not investigating this more deeply and concernedly, because there are some things that are going on that makes me suggest. Plus, its location. I've done the videos ever since it happened on June 6th, 2022. And it does have to do with scriptural prophecy about Jesus putting his foot on Mount Olympus, and it divides, and then the exodus of Mormons. Remember, you've been spared a summer. What are you going to do with that, Mormons? Are you going to waste it? So yes, there's something's coming today. And so, Delta Center, they're doing a whole revamping of the neighborhood, and they're doing this on purpose to remove the homeless. In West Valley City, back during the midterm elections, we had a new guy running for mayor, as the former mayor who betrayed me was quitting. And so I saw the flyers from each of the different candidates for mayor. And there was one conservative who was talking about doing this to West Valley City, doing a remodeling of neighborhoods. And Salt Lake City has wanted to do it. Mendenhall has been wanting to do it. And so this is a thing that Mormons are wanting to do to Utah. And on the surface, it sounds great. Oh yeah, we're going to modernize and make it beautiful. But there's a housing crisis in Utah. People can't afford the prices of homes because the church wants to get rid of you. I saw that episode in Star Trek, New Generations, purposely making it uncomfortable to try to get people to leave. That's what was done to me in West Valley. They tried to make things uncomfortable. They committed crimes. They abused me. They tortured me to get me to leave. I can't leave. Don't have the money to leave. They knew this, but so yeah, it is a tactic of Mormons by this church to purge Utah of the impure and only have the rich elite remain. And so yeah, they had no intention at the Delta Center to have a new community for the poor. The whole purpose was to eliminate the poor. Same thing with Operation Rio Grande. The whole purpose was to get rid of Rio Grande, the homeless shelter. They had no intention of building new shelters. They weren't going to do it. And so they purposely built the Gateway Mall right across the street. On purpose. They knew what would happen. The homeless would go and panhandle. They're not going to apply for a job. It doesn't pay enough. So yes, their panhandling kept people away. And the business owners complained. Do something about the homeless. And so then the government goes in. Oh, we'll figure this out. You already did. This was premeditated. And so, yeah, they get the one legislature guy spending the night spying on the homeless with the secret cams that are there. And he said, I know exactly what to do. And so Operation Rio Grande. They were going to lock him up in the Salt Lake County jail. No intention of building shelters. They moved out a whole bunch of people from the Salt Lake County jail to have room for the homeless in jail. Because Utah thinks that if you're retarded, a criminal, poor, and a druggie, you're one and the same. And an apostate, anti-Mormon, anti-Christ quarter, you're all the same. So Utah treats you the same. See, those that are permanently disabled and require SNAP funding, for example, or welfare from the government, because they don't qualify for SSDI, they are treated exactly the same as a person who's unemployed, a person who's homeless. Treated exactly the same. The person who's disabled is permanently disabled. They rely on government funding to survive. But the government here in Utah purposely minimizes the amount of government benefits as an incentive for the unemployed to get a job, to get a place to live, and to get off the dole, get off the streets. They will not invest in the poor. And so, yeah, it's a no-win situation. It's just bullying by our government. And so you've got all these homeless people who are being treated exactly as if they were permanently disabled. And so the permanently disabled does not get enough money to survive, and that's the housing problem. And so thus, by not providing affordable for the poor, not affordable for the rich. So there's a group that's protesting, wanting the government to make sure that the development provides affordable housing. You need to explain and clarify to the government, because they're saying, well, we're building housing. What are you talking about? It's affordable. You see the commercials. At affordable pricing, our new cars for 2025. Affordable. It's all relative based upon your income as to whether or not it's affordable. And so you can't go into the government and say it needs to be affordable. You need to go in with the numbers. You need to make apartments that rent for $200 a month. because this is the amount of money that a poor person working at McDonald's makes. And they are required to pay for all this other lifestyle, basic living essentials. So yeah, the government doesn't care about the poor because they're ordered by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They're all Mormon. So there was a video there all in and of itself, wasn't it? But that is not one that we're doing. Alright. Also in Utah, I've done this numerous times over the years. Sim Gill keeps saying, nothing I can do about it, it's the law, you gotta change the law in order for my hands to be untied. But it's always him that has to determine whether or not cops who murder innocent Utahns are to be punished. And every single time he says, nothing I can do about it, it's the law, my hands are tied. And so yes, Sim Gill has now declared that Utah police officers are justified in murdering retarded people. A whole list. Remember, I do lists. I even added some new stuff yesterday. I went over it with you. They think of these people as all the same. These are bullying, name-calling from psychology. And it's being used by the church, it's being used by the government, it's being used by the police. They think of everything the same. It's all the same name-calling. You know, they just mix it up because people are sensitive snowflakes. And so impaired, disabled, diseased, ill, retarded, mental health challenged, psychotic, psychopathic. Do I have schizophrenic? I should have schizophrenic. Yeah, there it is. Mental, emotional, behaviorally challenged, unstable, hysterical, mental malfunction, chemical imbalance, extremist, radical, deranged, stressed, moron, depressed, special, criminal, LGBTQIAPO+. Religious extremist, religious fanatic, religious fundamentalist, illiterate, crazy, mad, psycho, schizophrenic, sensitive, mental problems, cuckoo, needing professional help, unhinged, mental inability, nuts, fruity, juicy? No, not juicy, fruity. Batty and loony, all considered the same. Jasmine's not crazy, Jasmine's awesome. And so yeah, this is a very disturbing thing. That's why the new shelters that were forced to be built by the protests of the sensitive snowflakes, they put it right next to Valley Behavioral Health's headquarters and the Salt Lake County Jail. Because they're all considered the same. They look the same. They are the same in the state of Utah. And so yes, that's why the cops kill all of these different groups. And they get a pass from our government under orders of the church to purge Utah. That's why they rounded them up and put them in the shelter there over at that place and purposely allowed the drugs to be laundered through there. It's a drug den. You know, we got the woman who murdered her husband with fentanyl. How the hell is she getting fentanyl? But now she's looking for the loophole because this is the pattern of practice in the Salt Lake County Jail. They record all your phone conversations. And the phone is there on the wall Yeah, remember 2008. I filed a petition for a redress of grievances against the church in the state of Utah and the state government. They turned around and said, I'm the terrorist. That my filing is a weapon of mass destruction. Right, Sherliv? And so, yeah, I know all about Curtis Allgaier and Brian David Mitchell. They were my cellmates in other cells, Supermax. And so, yeah, I watched as they would often raid Curtis Allgaier's cell, and they'd have this little cart, and they'd put all of his mail that he receives, apparently from a woman who would go on to become his bride. Even criminals get a woman. What the hell's wrong? What have I done? Why not me? Why is everybody else having fun but me? Curtis Allgaier is getting conjugal visits, and what about me? And so, yeah, they're going through his mail. And so, yes, they record anybody who uses the phone on the wall. I'm even announcing I'm calling my lawyer. And they are recording phone calls with lawyers. You can't do that. But they do it. And so, yeah, this husband killer is going to get off on a loophole here. And yet they're only trying to claim that the prosecution needs to recuse themselves because they've heard the phone conversations in jail with her lawyer. You can't do that. And she's going to get off and get away with it. Go back into society. And then get remarried to another guy that she will murder. Oh, wow. So, yippee-ki-yay. Alrighty. So that's that for the news. So maybe we should make the other main theme another video. So this is just all the preview for the day video. Maybe that's what we should do. Because I'm wanting to talk about studying Mormonism to prove it's true, which is more faith promoting of a title from the original one I wanted to use. And so it's a follow-up with Bill Maher's episode last night, his new rules, which he's no longer labeling as new rules anymore. The last couple of ones have not been titled new rules. And so I'm kind of wondering, is this his new rules? And so he doesn't do monologues as much. There was one the other week, but for this season, he's not posting his monologues on YouTube. What's up, Bill? It's already bad enough that John Oliver hates his viewers. He's becoming a prima donna now. So, yeah, it's just, I don't even bother to watch John Oliver anymore, because he doesn't release his YouTube viewing of the show until Thursdays now. So, yeah, if you hate the public, expect the public to walk away. Just like the over 10 million Mormons have just walked away. And so, yeah, what historians say about the LDS Church will shock you. Again, go over that concept of how studying to prove the actual history of the church. And yes, sure enough, to go over again the transformation of Joseph Smith in 1838. It's all true, even though he forgot and didn't practice any of this when he got out of Liberty Jail. And still to this day, everybody's getting fooled. Even the ex-faux nevermos. Nobody's even talking about, what are you saying, ex-faux nevermo? What does that mean? Apparently you all know. Good. Is it getting spread around? Excommunicated. Faux, former Mormon. Never Mormon. Ex-faux nevermos. I coined it. It's mine. Back off. Alrighty, we're done. So yeah, all hell's breaking loose. All hell's breaking loose. Awesome song. So, yeah, unbelievable. But yeah, the Mill Creek, that's the serious one out of all of this. It needs research, just like in the movie. You know, he goes there, checks it out, sees the dead squirrels, the dead bodies, and so he brings in the team, and the little tremors and stuff that they're getting. But yeah, because of the politics involved, it's not until the sulfur smell, which is what we're getting in this valley. So yes, it's very disturbing what I'm seeing going on, and nobody's putting the pieces of the puzzle together, because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has purposely kept everybody from putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And so thus the Purim principle, or the law of Purim, is involved here. But, you know, like the movie indicated, it could happen soon, or years, or never. So, it's Mother Nature, not me. But just be aware that there's scripture prophecy involved. And so for that one, I will need to talk and explain the prophecies with you. Whereas, you know, the State Department telling the missionaries to go home and stay home, nope, it'll just be a quick video. It'll be a quickie.